Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you my April mid-month wrap-up. So in the first half of April, from the 1st through the 15th, I completed a total of 12 books, which I'm really happy with. I have talked about all of these books in my first couple of reading vlogs that I've done, which I'll leave links to both of those down below for you guys to check out. This video is also going up much later than it normally would because I completely forgot to plan a mid-month wrap-up in my video schedule for the month for some unknown reason. So I'm squeezing this video in and I'm going to try to go through these as quickly as possible. The first book I want to talk about is The Lady by His Side by Stephanie Lawrence. This is a book that I listened to on audio and is narrated by Matthew Brenher. I didn't love the narration. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't my favorite narration. So this is a historical romance. It's the first book in a trilogy, the Devil's Brood trilogy. I think this series is actually part of a much larger series. I believe Stephanie Lawrence is an author that has lots and lots of little series that you can read, but all of those series kind of interlink. But this is the only series that she had all of the books were available on audio from my library, so I decided I didn't really care. And you basically know how romance stories are going to finish up, so it was fine. So this historical romance has a murder mystery plot in it, which I liked, but at the same time we got almost no details about any of the side characters enough to care, to be that invested in the murder mystery plot. So I liked that it was there, but at the same time I didn't really care about that plot. But overall it was an enjoyable historical romance and I gave that 3 stars. The next book that I completed was Born Wicked by Jessica Spotswood. This is the first book in the Cahill Witch Chronicles. I gave this 4 stars. It was slow to get going and it is kind of a slower paced book and series, but I didn't realize how much I enjoyed it until after I finished reading it, if that makes sense. I liked the romance in here. It is a little bit insta-lovey in this book, but I liked the chemistry between the 2 main characters. I thought this had great world building. I also thought that the kind of sense of dread that the author manages to put in there about what's going on in the world was really great. As I said, really enjoyed this, gave this 4 stars. I then read Murder in Mesopotamia by Agatha Christie. This is the next book in the Hercule Poirot series. I think it's book 13 or 14. I'm not quite sure. In the Hercule Poirot series, as I said, really enjoyable as always. Agatha Christie's mysteries are always so intricate. I never have any clue basically what's going on. Even if I figure out kind of who the murderer might be, I have no idea how they accomplished it, or I'll pick up on one clue that will become significant, but I don't pick up on anything else because there's always so many details and intricacies, like I said, of the mysteries. But again, this was a really enjoyable one in the series and I gave that 3.5 stars. Next on audio, I listened to If I Run by TERRI Blackstock. This is the first book in the If I Run trilogy. This is a Christian thriller type series basically about a woman who discovers the dead body of her best friend, and her DNA is kind of all over the place and she knows she's kind of going to be framed for this crime. And so there's all this other kind of background stuff going on that I'm not going to get into, but basically she goes on the run. The family of the dead man hire his childhood best friend to basically track her down and find her. And then as he's kind of investigating what's going on and trying to find her, he starts to think that maybe she didn't commit this crime, and it kind of all follows that. So it's narrated on audio by Nan Gurley. It was enjoyable. I thought that the Christian themes in it for me as a non-Christian person were a little bit heavy-handed, but overall not too bad. But at the end of the book, I didn't see why this needed to be a trilogy. I felt like we could have just maybe had 50 to 100 pages tacked onto this story and just kind of finished it up. But it was enjoyable, so I gave that 3 stars. I then read Starcursed by Jessica Spotswood. This is the second book in the Cahill Witch Chronicles. This was my favorite book in the trilogy. I gave this one 4.25 stars. I loved, you have it throughout kind of the whole trilogy, but this one is where we get so much of the commentary on the patriarchy and everything that comes with that, because in this world you have a brotherhood of men who kind of basically oppress women. They're trying to get things through, like that women shouldn't be taught to read and shouldn't be allowed to work outside the home because historically there's been witchcraft, and they're scared of women and women's power. And I loved all of the commentary on that. This series is super, super feminist, and I really, really loved this one in the series, and I gave it 4.25 stars. I then listened on audio to The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, which is narrated by Mike Chamberlain. So this is a non-fiction, self-help-ish type book about habit and how habits are formed and how they affect different areas of our life. I actually found this quite fascinating. I really liked all of the kind of case studies and things that we get about how habits have affected people's lives and people who've had like brain injuries and things like that, and how habits played such a big factor in like their lives afterwards. And I did take a lot, like not a lot, but I did take some things out of it about forming habits and stuff, so I found it quite interesting. I gave that 3.5 stars. I then read Twist of Faith by Ellen J. Green. This is a book that I was approved for on NetGalley, so thank you to NetGalley and the publishers. This is an adult thriller about a woman who finds a photograph after the death of her adoptive mother that says something about destiny calls to us, and the photo is a picture of a house, and she thinks that this house is connected to her and her past because all she knows is that she was abandoned as a baby in a church, and she doesn't know anything about her past, and it all just kind of kicks off from there. I didn't like the writing. I thought the mystery was very complicated, very convoluted. There were things at the end that made no sense. Like, you kind of get those little twist bits that you go, wait a second, that doesn't actually make sense if you think about like different things that happened, or at least in my opinion. Overall, it was a bit of a letdown. I only gave that one 2.5 stars. I then read Sister's Fate by Jessica Spotswood. This is the third and final book in the Cahill Witch Chronicles. Really enjoyed this one. My favorite book is definitely book 2. It's probably my least favorite actually of the trilogy, but I still gave it 4 stars. I still really enjoyed it. I loved the ending and the way this wrapped up. I loved that you don't have any like loose endings, but it's not an ending that's like tied up with a little bow. It's just the type of ending where you get everything answered, but it's not an exact, and then this person married this person and had this baby, and you know, it's more like a hopeful kind of ending where you're left with like hope for the characters and stuff. I don't know if that makes sense. I really enjoyed it. Loved the sister relationships again in this whole trilogy. Loved the romance, loved all the friendships. I loved that we have LGBT rep in this. There is female-female relationships on the page. Basically, I really loved this trilogy overall, and like I said, I gave this one 4 stars. I then read An Irresistible Alliance by Stephanie Lawrence. This is the second book in the Devil's Brood trilogy. And again, I listened to this on audio, and it is again narrated by Matthew Brenher. This one doesn't have the murder plot that the first one does. And even though I didn't super love the murder plot, I did think that this book was kind of maybe missing a little something extra. But I do think that, again, that the romance was good. And I really do like that this trilogy has very feminist female leads. Like, they're very, not your typical, you know, wilting wallflower type of female main characters. They are very ahead of their time. They, you know, want to, like, for example, the main female lead in this one is a part of her family business, a very important part, and not typical for the kind of that type of time. So again, it was just okay. It was enjoyable, but nothing fantastic. I gave that one 3 stars. I then read 9 Dragons by Michael Connolly. This is the next book in the Harry Bosch series that I had to pick up. This one, I've been a little bit spoiled on kind of some of the life events of Harry Bosch because I had read the Mickey Haller series, and one of the books in that series is set after this, and we kind of get some crossover with Harry Bosch, so I kind of knew like what was coming in this book, but the actual mystery and different parts of the story I didn't know, and there were some good like twists in this that I didn't see coming, and I did really, really enjoy the book overall, and I gave that 3.75 stars. I then listened on audio to When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandra Menon. This is narrated by Sneha Matan and Vikas Adam. I apologize if I'm pronouncing any of those names incorrectly. So this is, of course, a YA contemporary romance about 2 Indian American teens who are set up by their parents in kind of an arranged marriage. Dimple is not aware of this arrangement, and Rishi is, and they meet up at InsomniaCon, which is like this coding summer program at a college, and it all kind of just like kicks off from there. I thought this was really enjoyable, really cute. I really loved how different the main characters were from each other, but at the same time how they really complemented each other. I did think that I wish we had more of, and this has been a common complaint with this book, but you don't get a lot of the coding stuff or the app development stuff, which is something that I think we could have done with more of, but you did get some good commentary in it on Christianity being the default and how like kind of in your face like Christian holidays and things can be. I really liked the commentary on that. Dimple did get a little bit annoying for me towards the end, and I thought the romance part of the story maybe happened a little bit early because of kind of what's going on, but overall very enjoyable. I gave that 3.75 stars. And the final book that I read in the first half of April was The Good Girl by Mary Kubica. I have to say this was a letdown. This is an adult thriller that basically follows a woman named Mia who has gone missing. And she has been missing for months and months, and then she returns, but she says that her name's Chloe. She only remembers parts of her life, not other parts, and you get kind of several perspectives, and you get the different timelines of kind of when she went missing through her being missing and trying to find her, as well as after she's returned and like what's happening with that. This is so slow, like for a thriller, very ironic how slow of a book this is. It also has one of those kind of twist kind of parts in it, but it wasn't a good kind of twist for me. It was the kind of twist for me that left me with just more questions that had me going, wait, what? And not, oh wow. So, and for how slow it was, and then the twist I didn't love, I just overall was very disappointed in this. And I did really like the writing. The writing is what kind of got this book. I gave it a 2.75 star, and it got 2.75 stars because of the writing, because overall, in terms of the plot and the ending and stuff, I didn't really love this. So there you have it. Those are all of the books that I read in the first half of April. I apologize if I went through these books a little too quickly, but as I mentioned, I have talked about all of these books on my channel, but I did just want to touch on them and let you know how much I managed to get read in the first half of the month. I'm really happy with 12 books. I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below if you've read any of these books, if you have any thoughts on them, if they're the same from mine or different from mine, or if you want to talk about how your April reading month's been going and what you guys have been reading. I would love to chat down below. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. That's all I've got for this video today. Bye guys!